Hey everybody, Ben here for the Bonehead podcast, and it's New Miniature Monday from Games Workshop, which means we get some Blood Bowl news today. So it is breaking news. One of the things we've been looking forward to in Blood Bowl for quite a time now, and that is the return of at least 2 of the Goblin star players. The Warhammer community today previewed some of the rules, not all of them, so there's still a bit of speculation to go, but we've seen the miniatures and the special rules for Bomber Dribblesnot and Fungus the Loon. Okay, so the article dropped today. 2 new Goblin star players cause chaos with bombs and ball and chain. So you've got the standard Bob, Jim chat about it, but let's have a first look at Fungus the Loon. So Fungus the Loon was a classic Goblin star player for... Was he in the last edition? Yeah, I think he was in the last edition. Anyway, didn't appear in 2020. Now this is, and has always been, a cheap additional fanatic for your Goblin team. So it's been a pretty essential element. You get 1 fanatic on the Goblin team. Normally you're running undervalue on team value. Now Goblins in the olden times always loved spamming those star player weapons. Nobbler Blackwart, the chainsaw, you know, Bomber Dribblesnot, the bomber, and Fungus the Loon here. Now we've seen some art for Fungus the Loon, so we've known he's coming. He's been coming for a little while, which is excellent. But now we've got the miniature. So I mean, let's have a look. You've got the classic Fungus pose. He's there, swirling around his ball and chain. The ball is massive, the chain is there. I mean, as far as Forge World models go, this is quite cool. I think my favourite little detail, though, is the popcorn here. The fact he's got a little box of popcorn on the pitch, or popcorn as it is. Now, lovely model, pretty standard. I don't think there's anything spectacular about it. It's nothing amazing. This could be just a standard fanatic, and when I saw the pictures, I thought, they've released more Goblin positionals? Like, we've already got these from Forge World. Now we've got the star player too. It's a cool one, and I think that's the great thing about this star player. When you need a fanatic model, you've got the option. So Fungus is the ultimate Goblin fanatic, proudly displaying his love for mushrooms by carrying them out to the pitch. In game, you just wind him up, let him go, like that, and even retain a little control over him thanks to his Whirling Dervish special rule. So each of the star players in Blood Bowl 2020 have a special rule. Most of them can be used just once per game. This one is actually every single turn. So every time you use Fungus the Loon, once per activation, he may re-roll the d6 when determining which direction he moves in. So when you move a ball and chain, you point him in the direction you want to go. 1 to 2, he goes diagonally left. 3 to 4, he goes straight forward. 5 to 6, he goes diagonally right. Once per turn, basically. Once per use of Fungus, you get to re-aim him, which is actually massively useful. So we've seen the Verminator, who's got movement 5 and can do a lot of stuff, but you can end up just circling around with the ball and chain. Being able to re-roll it makes it twice as likely for you to hit your target. So that's actually a very useful skill for him. Now, old school Fungus had Mighty Blow as well, so if we see him land with Mighty Blow, and we haven't seen the skills or the stats for these players just yet, but I would imagine that will carry over. He could be a really useful player. Back in the day, he was 80k as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see him land at that point, which means Goblins have got some cheeky, cheap star players coming to them. His massive ball and chain gives Goblin teams much needed oomph on the line of scrimmage. Who needs strength when you have special weapons? Fair enough. Right, this is Bomber Dribblesnot. This is the new model for him, and Bomber Dribblesnot is a bomber. Bombs are great. Hail Mary Pass got nerfed, but actually when it comes to a star player bomber, generally speaking, they've got better throwing ability. We might see better passing ability. We might see accurate here. We might see nothing at all, because I think Bomber in the olden days was actually quite a cheap star player that was just another Bombardier. Now we've got another Bombardier. It's a cool model. It fits in with the standard Goblin aesthetic of the Blood Bowl team. He's even got the weird armoured nose goggles. I mean, I like it, but the guy comes with a mixture of bombs. I mean, look at the bomb sack on his back. He looks like a very explosive Santa Claus, and I think that is an excellent design, Rue. I will say, lovely orange, lovely yellowy orange blend there. Some nice painting job, and the flame too. I know it's not Whip Wednesday, but that's good painting there. Meanwhile, Bomber Dribblesnot clearly has an appetite for destruction. Just look at all of those extra explosives he's got in his sack. Want to cause maximum carnage? Throw a bomb at your opponent's best player and then have it explode as soon as they catch it. So his special ability, Kaboom. Once per game, if an opposition player catches the bomb thrown by Bomber, you can choose to have it explode instead of them rolling to sea. So in the standard rules, if a player has the bomb come to land in their square, they get to make an agility test to catch it. At -1, I think, because it wasn't intended to be the case. Potentially. Depends. Anyway, if they do catch it, you as the bomber player roll a dice, and on a 4+, it just straight up explodes anyway. What this does is this means you can just target that war dancer, chuck it at them, they're going to try and catch it, and whether they catch it or not, boom, you're going to be blowing them up. So Bomber Dribblesnot there is going to be very effective at reducing those players, and I really like that too. Throwing bombs at enemy players means you should be out of range for any retribution that may come back, the perfect place for a goblin to be. Not always true, most bombs are thrown at 3 to 6 squares, so yeah, that's pretty close for a jolly good blitzing. Now this is the really interesting thing that came out of this article, is the players, is the teams that these guys can play for. Badlands Brawl and Underworld's Challenge. And they've done a great job of actually just listing the teams straight up there for us to kind of start brewing up what they're there to do. So Black Orcs, Goblins, Ogres, Orcs, Skaven and Snotlings. So let's have a quick think about those teams. Black Orcs, could they use a little bit of spice? Yeah, you know what? A little bomber, a little bit of something magic. We were having lunch yesterday and we were talking about Black Orcs, and it kind of feels like they need an extra position, or team works brilliantly, but just a little bit something cool. Actually, if these guys come in nice and cheap, the addition of a Fanatic to a Black Orc team is going to be massive, and there's going to be a lot of circumstance where you drop the Troll and take Fungus the Loon instead. It's going to give you that multiple attack ability. Goblins, I mean, what's to say about Goblins? He belongs on a Goblin team. I think he was probably the most used Goblin star player back in the day. Like, he's got that extra strength ability, and I think he was just a little bit more expensive than a bribe back in the day. But I mean, in this world you got 50k for a bribe. The biggest boon that he had was that he had Mighty Blow, and you don't have Mighty Blow on a standard Goblin Fanatic, and it is such a potent ability. Like, actually just one of the most brilliant skills you can have. So that is the article about the two new players, or two kind of returning players. We're going to have a cheeky look at the old school stats, so the stats from Blood Bowl 2016, so we can kind of extrapolate how they're going to be looking when they finally arrive in 2020. Okay, so we got the card here for Fungus the Loon from the 2016 edition. He was 80k, movement 4, strength 7, edge 3, armor 7, ball and chain, loner, mighty blow, no hands, secret weapon, and stunty. So as we get Fungus back into 2020, what's he likely to do? So we've seen his ability, that means once per turn, that ball and chain movement, you get a reroll to try and drive it in the right place. Movement 4, I think we're definitely going to see that. Now that makes a massive upgrade. Okay, that's 33% more carnage, and one of those is going to be essentially, what, I don't know, like 50% accurate instead of 33%. So that movement 4, definitely we're going to see, I think. Strength 7 is going to be the same. Edge is going to be 3+, doesn't really matter. Passing is going to be nothing. Armor is going to be 8+, which doesn't really matter when you're ball and chain. Mighty Blow, no hands, secret weapon, stunty, ball and chain, loner. Loner 4+, probably. We might see loner 3+ for Goblin star players. They do tend to have a little bit. You know, the trolls have got that loner 3+. I wouldn't be surprised to see it, because a goblin is a goblin is a goblin, but I mean, loner 4+ would make sense. Mighty Blow +1 though for this guy is going to be huge, and there is a small chance that we'll see that dirty player element added on as well. But ultimately, as it stands, it's likely to be 4 squares of movement at strength 7, mighty blow +1, and once per turn you get to reroll the direction that this guy is driving in. If that star player comes in and lands at 80k exactly as it is right now, that will be almost an auto-include in so many of those teams. Black Orcs are already really strong, but having a 4-move Mighty Blow +1 player, and they still have that bribery and corruption ability to buy a cheap bribe. That's 130k for Fungus the Loon. At that point, you've got to start questioning whether or not you got 170k to buy the Verminator, who comes with basically an auto bribe, but horses for courses. You can run both, and that's where it gets really exciting. But for now, Fungus the Loon looking like a very solid pickup. And then we've got Bomber Dribblesnot. Really poor image here, sorry guys. Anyway, this is the 2016 rules. So Bomber Dribblesnot in the last edition, movement 6, strength 2, edge 3, armor 7. So exactly average Goblin stats. Accurate, Bombardier dodge, loner, right stuff, secret weapon, stunty. So exactly the package that you would get from a Goblin bomber, but it comes with accurate. So 60k is probably the same cost that we're going to see him arrive in 2020. It just works well from an inducement period. I know a lot of the bigger star players have gone down in value, and 2 of them have gone back up in value, but 60k I think is probably where we're going to see Bomber Dribblesnot land. The fact that he's got accurate is going to be really, really beneficial. Now, whether he's going to come in with a passing of 4+ and accurate or a passing of 3+ with accurate is going to be a... You know what? It's going to be a moot point, because at 60k, those teams that can take a bomber and want a bomber are going to be able to run him anyway. Whatever happens, you're going to be quick passing on a 3+. I don't think they're going to drop him to passing 5+ and then introduce accurate. This guy is going to be quick throwing a bomb, 1 to 3 squares on a 3+, long throwing on a 4+. Now, it is a bit worse when it comes to using a Bombardier with loner. Okay, you guys, if you've seen the Bonehead Championship, you'll know that actually rerolling a Bombardier's throw can be incredibly useful. Not having pass is gonna be difficult, and the fact that loner, if it lands even at 3+, which I don't think it will, I think it's going to be a loner 4+ situation, it makes those bombs quite risky. So I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see him land at passing 3+ with accurate. It could lead to some risky but most excellent bombardiering. So Black Orcs definitely could benefit from both of them. Fungus the Loon is going to function as a cheaper Verminator for all of these teams basically. But 80k versus 170 is a huge price decrease. Okay, that's just phenomenally good. It's not movement 5, sure, it doesn't come with an auto bribe, so that extra cash is definitely worth it. But what you get here is the ability to take a bribe and bomber and Fungus the Loon. You get like a little assortment for less than 200k's worth of inducements, and when it comes to tournaments, that's going to be really interesting. Goblins, definitely going to want them. Ogres, I can see them spending a little bit of cash and getting the Bombardier potentially, or just Fungus the Loon. The Bombardier adds an element to the Ogre team that it doesn't have otherwise, and if the Ogre team can't afford the 5th or 6th Ogre, actually maybe taking Fungus the Loon for an extra removal ability could be really good for that lineup. Orcs, every now and again, are going to be able to filter in one of those star players to the match. If they're in a league, Orcs punching up Fungus the Loon, going to be awesome. Being able to take the Bombardier for just a tournament, or just for the lols at 60k is also going to happen. Skaven, being able to have a ball and chain at low cost value is going to be brilliant. Verminator and, what was it? Fezglitch in the old edition was a cheap Skaven ball and chain, and it gave that extra ability. So a beat up Skaven team, or a Skaven team going up against a heavy bash team, okay, like dwarves or something like that, really useful for that. And Snotlings generally have got a ton of inducements, so Hack Phlegm plus ball and chain, fabulous. Like, there's some really good combinations there. I love this. I cannot wait to see the actual Games Workshop rules. I think we're going to be pretty close to this, and I cannot wait to get these models in. See if Bloodtithe fancies doing one of them. Hopefully he won't hurt his hands as much. Anyway guys, let me know what you think of these star players. Who are we going to see next, and are these two going to be as good in this edition as they were in the last edition? Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to help support the channel even further, please like and subscribe, or come join us on our Patreon. We have early access to content, we get loads of feedback from you guys, and we try and do competitions as much as we can. Or you can get yourself some Bonehead Podcast merch on our Spreadshirt site. So if you want to support a team, especially for the Bonehead Championship, you can pick up a shirt, a mug, things like that. It all helps support the channel, and we really appreciate it. Anyway, links below. Thank you very much. Happy blocking.